The day has finally come. Everyone is diving in and checking out Assassin's Creed Valhalla for the very first time. But before you fire up the game, there's a few things you need to know. Hello friends, it's Codiak here, one half of the team behind Legacy Gaming, and today we're sharing our launch day survival guide for Assassin's Creed Valhalla. If you haven't already done so, check out our ultimate preview video for Assassin's Creed. In that video, we dive into every facet of the game and break it down into extraordinary detail. We discuss everything from combat to character customization, so if you're looking for a snapshot of the game, definitely give it a watch. Today, however, I want to discuss launch. Regardless of when you watch this video, there are a few really important points I want to share before you start your Assassin's Creed adventure. Now, you may or may not be aware, Assassin's Creed Valhalla takes the concept of exploration mode from Assassin's Creed Odyssey and takes it one step further. Now, more than ever, your synchronization points really do matter. When you unlock a region, you also gain access to that region's territory opportunity chart. This is your guide as you move through each area of Norway and England, and it's a simple punch card. Each slot represents an unresolved wealth, mystery, or artifact, and as you explore and find or complete these objectives, they fill in. It's an essential snapshot for what you have left to do in each area of the game. Synchronization also allows your Raven, Sinan, to view these territory opportunities from the sky. Unlike in previous Assassin's Creed games, not everything is going to be visible on your world map, and you'll need to use a combination of exploration and scouting via Sinan to find every opportunity. But it all starts with a synchronization and ultimately leads to a more in-depth exploration system. Since we're talking about scouting, I think it's important to explain another major change to how exploration and more specifically enemy tracking works in Valhalla. As you may have seen in other videos around the internet, you can no longer tag every single enemy at an encampment or in a restricted zone from the sky. It's just not possible. The Ubisoft team has replaced this feature and instead gives players access to Odin Vision, which sends out a pulse that helps identify and highlight targets and treasures in an area around the player. This change will lead to a fundamental shift in how players work through enemy encampments, and while it'll be nearly impossible to highlight everyone with Odin Vision, it does still provide players with enough information to formulate a plan. Odin Vision works in a 360-degree sphere around the player, so you can gather intelligence from above or below your enemy, and that could be the difference between seeing an enemy before they see you. Another change is that Odin Vision doesn't provide enemy intelligence like level, rank, or gear, at least at the start of our adventures in Valhalla. That may change at some point given the game's expansive skill tree, but as far as we know, all you'll be able to do is track enemy position and movement. Get comfortable with Odin Vision and don't expect to rely on your Raven for much. You'll be scouting much closer to enemies than ever before, but it's this change that I truly believe will add a new layer of depth to the combat element of the game. Next, we have to talk about item progression in Valhalla, because I've already seen a number of major YouTubers steer people in the wrong direction, and it's a real shame because I think the Ubisoft team is trying hard to change the way players experience the loot aspect of this game. For those that didn't know, Assassin's Creed Origins and Odyssey both used a random loot system, meaning the pieces that you get were largely rolled with random stats. In Valhalla, everything is custom created to serve a specific purpose, and I mean, just think about that. It's an incredible amount of work. One option, the randomized system, gives you unlimited loot potential, but doesn't create consistency or really leaves any lasting impressions. The customized system is tailor-made and implemented for players exactly how the Ubisoft team wants, but it does require an insane amount of extra work. There are trade-offs to both systems, but here's where things become important. Every piece of gear you collect in Valhalla is meant to exist long-term through the game's upgrade system. A spear or axe you find in the earlier parts of the game can be upgraded in both stats and appearance to take players into the endgame. What's most important is the skill tree association with each item. Items will be marked with a wolf, bear, or raven, which ties directly into the 3 skill trees in the game. A wolf item gets an additional boost for every point you spend in the wolf tree, and this is completely separate from the standard upgrade system. What I'm getting at is this: if you find an item you like, don't get rid of it just because you find another item with slightly better baseline stats. That's not the end-all be-all. This is a shift away from everything we know about loot games, but it's important to know before you start your adventure. On the heels of that last tip, I think it's important to say that exploring everything in Valhalla is more important than ever before. I know a lot of guides say explore everything, but let me take that a step further. Items have minor and major upgrades. Minor upgrades require resources like obsidian, which you can find out in the world, while major upgrades require ingots, which can be found as wealth opportunities in the various regions. We all know that loot is only truly comparable in its final form, but to get there, you'll need to upgrade a lot of items, and that will require an insane amount of resources. Comparing baseline stats is fine, but it's not a true reading of how a weapon will serve you long term. The long and short of it is this: take the extra minute to explore every major structure in a given area. That loot is going to come in handy at some point in your adventure. Trying to track down a specific resource is much harder in a game like Assassin's Creed, since there is no direct way to acquire that item. This isn't an MMO, you can't just run out and harvest wood, so truly explore everything, and remember, your future self will thank you later. All the free running and exploration in the world won't mean a thing if you don't know how to handle yourself in combat, and I've definitely picked up a few important things along the way. The first thing you need to know is that Assassin's Creed Valhalla features a robust dual-wield system, and every one-handed item you find in the game can be wielded in the main or offhand. The item in your main hand provides you with basic and heavy attacks, while the item in your offhand provides you with a sort of special attack. You can also swap items on the fly, switching the item in your main and offhand with the push of a button. This gives you access to two movesets without having to change gear. Additionally, pay attention to enemy weak points that glow gold. This is a brand new feature in the game. When you hit a weak point, enemies take substantially more damage, and sometimes hitting those weak points stagger or even immobilize enemies. This is doubly important for beefier enemies that may be more challenging to kill in traditional ways. Positions of weak points can fluctuate wildly, so pay attention to where they appear on a target and don't ignore them, because hitting one can make a huge difference. Finally, let's clear some confusion up about the way stamina works in the game. If you didn't already know, your character has a stamina bar that exhausts primarily by dodging and missing with attacks. You regain stamina by landing light attacks and by not dodging, allowing stamina to regenerate. Enemies also have a stamina system, and this is important. When you wear down an enemy's stamina bar, it opens them up for a brutal stun attack. It's almost more important to pay attention to that bar because stun moves set up enemies for finishing moves like Stomp, but it also takes them out of the equation, and that can make a big difference during a raid. Raids are a new type of encounter in Assassin's Creed Valhalla that are unlike anything we've seen in a previous game. While you're in your longboat, you can sail up to the shores of an encampment and send out all of your Viking raiders to go pillage and loot. It's team versus team, and this often means fighting multiple enemies at once. Knowing how and when to use stun attacks is going to be essential for staying alive during large-scale combat, and now with a little knowledge about stamina under your belt, you should be able to pull it off. Friends, there is so much more Assassin's Creed Valhalla content coming your way, so don't forget to subscribe to Legacy Gaming so you never miss a new video. We plan on covering this game top to bottom, so if there is something specific you want to see, guides, let's plays, boss fights, just let us know in the comment section below, and if you did enjoy this video, please consider hitting that like button. We also have a fantastic Discord of nearly 6,000 members spread across dozens of great games, so check out that link below and join today. My name is Codiak, and from everyone here at Legacy Gaming, thanks for watching, and play on.